My name is Ethan Walker. Listen to my story. The call came in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. I remember staring at my phone, confused by the urgency in her voice before I even answered. Pack your things, my wife said. There was no greeting. No hesitation. Get out of my house. For a moment, I thought it was a joke. The kind of dramatic sarcasm couples sometimes use after small arguments. But the silence on the other end of the line wasn't playful. It was cold. Controlled. Then she added the sentence that turned my chest hollow. I just inherited millions. I don't need you anymore. The line went dead. I stood there in the kitchen of the house we had shared for 9 years, holding the phone like it had suddenly become heavier than it should be. My name is Daniel Mercer. And that was the moment I realized money doesn't change people. It reveals them. When Olivia and I met, neither of us had much. We were young, hopeful, and slightly reckless in the way people are when they believe love will solve everything. Our first apartment was small and always smelled faintly of paint because the landlord was constantly renovating other units. We ate cheap takeout on the floor because we couldn't afford a dining table. But Olivia used to laugh then. Real laughter. The kind that filled a room. We built our life slowly. I worked long hours at a logistics company while she pursued a career in interior design. Some years were tight. Some were easier. But we always told each other we were building something together. Together was the important word. Or at least I thought it was. A few months before that phone call, Olivia's distant uncle passed away. He had been wealthy but private, someone the family rarely spoke about. When the lawyer contacted her, she was shocked. I remember hugging her in the living room when she first learned about the inheritance. This could change everything, she whispered. At the time, I thought she meant our future. I didn't realize she meant her freedom from me. In the weeks that followed, something shifted. It wasn't immediate. It was subtle. Olivia began speaking differently about our life. She stopped saying our plans and started saying my options. She talked about traveling alone. About moving to a bigger city. About reinventing herself. I assumed she was dreaming out loud. Then came the phone call telling me to leave. When I arrived home that evening, Olivia was already there. 2 large suitcases stood beside the couch. Not hers. Mine. You packed my things? I asked quietly. She crossed her arms. There was confidence in her posture I had never seen before. This house was purchased with my inheritance, she said. The lawyer confirmed it. I'm restructuring my life. Restructuring. It was a strange word to use about a marriage. What about us? I asked. She looked at me with a mixture of impatience and something colder, disappointment. Daniel, let's be honest, she said. You were part of the life I had when I was struggling. That chapter is over. The sentence didn't feel like anger. It felt like dismissal. I sat down slowly, trying to understand how 9 years could suddenly become a chapter. I thought we built this together, I said. She shrugged. You built stability, she replied. But now I have opportunity. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. I expected tears. Maybe regret. Instead, she looked relieved, like someone finally stepping out of a crowded room. So I did the only thing left to do. I picked up the suitcases. Not out of defeat. Out of clarity. The months after our separation were quiet but steady. I moved into a modest apartment and rebuilt routines that didn't revolve around someone else's approval. Friends later told me Olivia's new life was louder than she expected. Expensive trips. New social circles. Endless reinvention. But wealth, like silence, has a way of exposing the truth underneath noise. About 2 years later, I heard she had sold the house and moved again. Still searching. Meanwhile, my life became something simpler. Honest work. Genuine friendships. Peace. I learned something important from that afternoon phone call. Love that depends on circumstances was never love. And people who see you as temporary will always reveal themselves the moment they believe they've outgrown you. The strange part is, I don't remember the pain as clearly as I remember the silence after the call ended. Because sometimes the most important moment in a person's life isn't when they're told to leave. It's when they realize they deserve a place where they're never asked to.